You are going to speak roughly 16,000 words today.
That's a lot of words.
Right. But how many of those words are actually yours?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, think about it. When you walk into a grocery store or like a coffee shop or a pharmacy, you are essentially reciting lines from a play you never auditioned for.
That is a really great way to put it.
You just step out your front door, keys in hand, and suddenly, without even really realizing it, you are playing a heavily rehearsed part.
Well, and it is a survival mechanism, fundamentally. I mean, if we had to consciously invent a brand new, totally authentic string of dialogue every single time we bought a carton of milk.
Oh, it would be exhausting.
Exactly. Our brains would just redline before noon. We rely on these pre-programmed linguistic scripts to manage our cognitive load.
Which brings us perfectly to the mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at a really fascinating document today.
We are.
It's an educational script titled Mastering Everyday English, Shopping and Daily Errands Script.
Sounds pretty dry on the surface.
It does. It's a curriculum designed for language learners, and it features these two characters. There's a cheerful host and her very relaxed co-host.
Right, they act as the guides.
Yeah. But for you listening, we are not treating this as just some simple vocabulary lesson.
Yeah, not at all.
We are using this document as like an anthropological mirror.
Because by stripping human interaction down to its absolute most basic teachable components, this curriculum inadvertently exposes the entire underlying skeleton of our social contracts.
It really does.
These two hosts are essentially acting as alien anthropologists. They're documenting the precise psychological journey of a typical human day out in the world.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because this curriculum covers the exact arc you and I experience every time we run errands.
Every single time.
It charts the whole journey. Yeah. From leaving the safety of your home, navigating the friction of commerce, dealing with strangers, and then eventually retreating back to your sanctuary.
Full circle.
And it all begins with the most universal, unavoidable task. Securing food.
The supermarket.
Yes.
And what's fascinating here is how the script immediately establishes that our environment dictates the intensity of our social interactions.
Oh, for sure.
Like the male co-host notes that he deliberately goes grocery shopping on Saturday mornings because it is less crowded.
Right. He wants to avoid people.
Exactly. He is actively minimizing friction. But the female host, on the other hand, she goes in the evening and explicitly mentions that the supermarket is packed.
So they're basically choosing different difficulty levels for the exact same environment.
It's a good way to look at it.
But regardless of when they actually go, the language they are teaching their students to survive this space is entirely locational and transactional.
Yes.
It is all about navigating this massive grid. They teach their learners to ask an employee, like, excuse me, where can I find the milk?
Or which aisle are the vegetables in?
Right. And notice how the curriculum actually pauses just to define the word aisle.
Yeah, that stood out to me too.
They describe it as the long walking space between shelves.
Which, for a language learner, that's just a helpful vocabulary definition.
Sure.
But sociologically, it perfectly describes the architecture of modern consumption.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
An aisle is literally a strictly designated pathway designed to funnel human beings past goods with maximum efficiency.
And minimum interaction.
Exactly.
It is the choreography of commerce.
I love that phrase.
You walk the designated path, you locate the item, and then you have to verbally establish its value, like how much are these apples?
And then they teach the culturally appropriate reaction to high costs.
Oh, the inflation reaction.
Yes. If something is too expensive, the script says, wow, that's a bit pricey.
Which is so funny because the host admits she finds herself saying that constantly lately.
We all do.
Right. Because it serves as this very polite, generalized acknowledgement of inflation.
Exactly. You aren't attacking the store clerk for the price.
Yeah, they didn't set the price.
Right. You are commiserating with them over an external force.
But eventually, you accept the pricey apples, you finish walking the grid, and you arrive at the ultimate gauntlet of the errand day.
The checkout.
The checkout. And the script outlines this ritual with terrifying accuracy.
It really is a ritual.
The cashier delivers the standard prompt, "Did you find everything you needed today?"
And you answer, "Yes, thank you."
Every time. Then we enter the negotiation for bags. "Could I have a bag, please?"
Or, as the hosts point out regarding the modern reality of store charges, the cashier might ask, "Would you like to buy a bag?"
Yeah, because nothing is free anymore. And finally, there's the offer of the receipt, which, honestly, I just immediately lose anyway.
Same here. But look at the sheer volume of extreme politeness layered over that interaction.
It's heavy.
Could I please have, would you like to? We are wrapping this cold financial transaction in thick layers of social grace.
Just so it doesn't feel quite so stark.
Exactly.
I look at the checkout sequence and it feels exactly like a QuickTime event in a video game.
Oh, how so?
Like a dialogue prompt flashes on your screen and you have a fraction of a second to hit the right button.
Oh, I see.
If the cashier asks, "Did you find everything you needed today?" and you hit the wrong dialogue button, like if you answer truthfully and say, "Actually, I couldn't find the specific brand of milk I wanted and I'm feeling weirdly anxious about it," you break the entire flow of the line.
You completely derail it.
The game pauses. The people behind you groan. It's just an illusion of care.
Well, I'm going to push back on the video game analogy just a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
In a game, you're playing to win points or advance a narrative, right?
Yeah, usually.
In the checkout line, you're actively playing for invisibility.
Oh, wow.
You aren't trying to win. You're trying to achieve absolute frictionlessness. The polite buffer isn't there to simulate a relationship.
It exists specifically to prevent a relationship from forming.
Yes, it keeps the interaction moving so everyone can escape back into anonymity.
That makes perfect sense. But that protective buffer, it shatters the moment we cross the threshold into the next section of the curriculum.
It really does.
Because the hosts move us from grabbing universal items off a shelf to a much more intimate space.
The clothing store.
The clothing store.
The shift is so jarring when you look at the language. We transition from shopping for apples to shopping for things that must fit our literal bodies.
Right.
We're exposing our physical reality to strangers.
And the script explicitly notes how difficult shopping for clothes is, particularly jeans.
Oh, the worst.
The language completely pivots from locational to highly personal. You are suddenly having to ask for permission to occupy private space.
Can I try this on?
Exactly. You're asking to use a sitting room, and then you have to navigate vulnerability with an employee. Do you
Right.
have this in a larger size or a smaller size?
The psychological burden of that space is immense.
Yeah.
You're asking a perfect stranger to assess your physical dimensions,
It's terrifying.
which is precisely why the curriculum introduces the concept of the compliment right here.
Oh.
The host highlights the phrase, "that looks great on you," calling it a friendly compliment that people always appreciate.
It's the ultimate social lubricant.
Because in an environment where humans feel inherently vulnerable and exposed, subjective language becomes a survival tool.
Subjective, right.
Yeah, that looks great on you is entirely subjective. What does great even mean?
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. It provides necessary subjective reassurance to counteract the objective discomfort of physical measurement.
That makes the next transition in the script even more extreme then.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we leave the subjective reassurance of the clothing store and we walk straight into the pharmacy.
Yes.
And it acknowledges right away that nobody enjoys being sick. You are navigating symptoms. Do you have something for a headache?
This raises such an important question about the flexibility of human language.
How do you mean?
Well, in the supermarket, language is a frictionless performance. In the clothing store, language is a subjective emotional cushion.
Yes.
But the moment you step up to a pharmacy counter, the script demands absolute objective precision.
There's no room for error.
None. The pharmacist asks a critical, non-negotiable question. Do you have any allergies?
And the instructions become incredibly explicit, too. The script highlights the phrase, "take this medicine twice a day."
Right.
And they don't leave any room for cultural interpretation there. The host specifically defines twice a day for the learners as meaning 2 times every day.
Because there is zero room for ambiguity when human health is on the line.
Yeah.
The polite buffer falls away entirely. The language becomes sparse, direct, and literal. I mean, a pharmacist isn't asking if you have allergies to be polite.
No.
They're asking to keep you alive.
It really makes you realize that the pharmacy interaction is inherently the highest stakes conversation in this entire daily routine.
Without a doubt.
Like, if I misunderstand the Apple pricing, I lose a few bucks. If I buy the wrong size jeans, I feel bad for afternoon and I just return them.
Exactly.
But if I misunderstand twice a day, or if I gloss over the allergy question because I'm just on autopilot, that is a medical emergency.
Which is exactly why the tone of the language taught in this section is completely devoid of idioms or casual fillers.
It's all business.
It is pure data transfer. You're handing over your symptoms, and they are handing over a chemical solution with very rigid behavioral parameters attached.
Okay, so You survive the high-stakes pharmacy.
Barely.
You are exhausted from navigating the crowded supermarket grid. You've endured the vulnerability of the fitting room, hopefully walking away with fewer bags than you planned, as the script jokes.
Hopefully.
The curriculum then pivots to the next crucial phase of the human day. Navigating the way home?
A decompression phase.
Yes. It starts with public transport. The script teaches the learners simple, highly utilitarian questions. Does this bus go downtown? And how much is a ticket?
Because the bus represents a classic liminal space.
A liminal space.
Yeah, a transitional threshold between two distinct states of being. You are still physically in public, surrounded by strangers, but psychologically, you are moving toward your private sanctuary.
You're almost home.
Right. And the language required in a liminal space drops to the bare minimum, destination and cost. Nothing more.
But then, once you cross that threshold, the curriculum introduces the post-shopping debrief with friends.
Ah, yes.
You finally meet up with someone you actually know, and the inevitable question arises, did you buy anything nice?
And the suggested answer is, yeah, I bought a new jacket.
Notice how the dialogue moves from interrogating strangers to confessing to peers.
Exactly that.
Because the next thing the script teaches is the relatable confession of overspending.
I need to stop shopping.
Right. And the other host immediately chimes in, saying that sounds very familiar to her. We literally confess our consumer sins to our friends to clear our psychological conscience.
We really do.
And once that is done, we hit the evening relaxation.
This is the moment in the script where the characters' individual personalities finally emerge from the rigid structures of the errands.
Oh, that's a great point.
Throughout the grocery store and the pharmacy, they're just consumers. But at home, one host likes to make tea and watch videos online. The other likes listening to music. They become individuals again.
And the language they teach for this part of the day reflects that individuality so well. It is all about casual invitations.
So we'll watch a movie tonight.
Or let's order some food and relax, which they note sounds perfect after a long day. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Notice how drastically the tone of the words in your mouth changes here.
You transition from asking permission like, can I try this on, or could I have a bag, to making collaborative, low-stakes suggestions.
Right.
Let's order some food.
It is literally like taking off a stiff, restrictive uniform of public etiquette and putting on verbal sweatpants.
Verbal sweatpants. I love that. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this curriculum isn't just teaching language learners how to acquire goods in an English-speaking city.
Right, it's deeper than that.
They are teaching them the precise linguistic mechanics of how to rebuild their social energy. Moving from public interrogatives to private, open-ended invitations marks the essential boundary between being on and being off.
Yeah.
It is how a human being recovers from the cognitive load we talked about at the beginning.
But before we can fully turn off and embrace those verbal sweatpants, the curriculum introduces one final, unavoidable layer of everyday communication.
Oh, of course.
It is a layer that permeates absolutely every scenario we just discussed. The supermarket, the bus, the clothing store. It acts as the ultimate social glue.
Small talk about the weather.
The weather.
Yes.
The script points out that English speakers are obsessed with weather conversations, especially because, as they note, the weather seems to change every 5 minutes.
It really does.
They give the learners phrases for specific conditions. For heat, they teach, it's so humid today. For windy conditions, they introduce the idiom, hold on to your hat, it's really windy out there, which they praise as a great expression.
To a linguist, this is known as phatic communication.
Phatic communication.
Right. It is language used for general social interaction rather than conveying actual information.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. The weather is the ultimate get out of awkward silence free card.
Oh, absolutely.
But think about the reality of the modern world. Why do we still obsessively talk about the weather with strangers when every single one of us carries a supercomputer in our pocket that tells us exactly what the temperature is, down to the decimal, at any given second?
That's true.
I mean, I'm not informing the bus driver that it's raining. They have eyes.
Because, as the concept of phatic communication suggests, talking about the weather isn't an exchange of meteorological data.
Right.
When you say hold on to your hat, you're not issuing a literal command for someone to physically secure their headwear against a gale.
That would be absurd.
It would. You are initiating a low-stakes bid for camaraderie.
It's a safe, entirely neutral way to acknowledge a shared reality with a stranger without invading their privacy.
Consider the alternative.
Okay.
You are standing in the vegetable aisle, standing shoulder to shoulder with someone you don't know. Silence can feel hostile in close quarters.
Oh, very hostile.
But
I,
you can't exactly ask them about their deepest fears or their financial anxieties.
hey, how's that mortgage doing?
Right. The weather is an external force that affects you both equally. By saying, it's so humid today, you are effectively saying, we are both experiencing this same mild inconvenience, and I recognize you as a fellow human in this space.
Wow.
It bridges the gap between the rigid robotic script of, did you find everything you needed, and actual, albeit brief, human connection.
So we talk about the win so we don't have to talk about our existential dread while waiting in line to buy pricey apples.
Precisely. It keeps the social gears turning smoothly without asking anyone to risk emotional vulnerability. It is the perfect shallow interaction required to maintain a functioning society.
Let's look back at the journey we've taken through this deep dive.
It's been quite a trip.
We started by examining the massive cognitive load of simply leaving the house. We navigated the transactional, frictionless choreography of the supermarket grid.
Right.
We stripped away our social defenses in the subjective vulnerability of the clothing store fitting room, and we confronted the stark, life or death precision required at the pharmacy counter.
We rode the bus through the liminal space of public transit, confessed our consumer sins to our peers, and finally retreated to the sanctuary of our homes, slipping into casual, collaborative language to rebuild our energy.
And through it all, we used the great equalizer of humid days and windy afternoons to acknowledge the strangers around us without getting too close.
Yeah.
At the end of the script, the hosts offer a simple, really powerful piece of advice for their learners. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just keep talking.
And that is the only way to master the cadence of these interactions. You have to participate in the daily script until the cognitive load drops and the words feel entirely natural in your mouth.
Just keep talking. It's perfect advice for someone learning a new language. But I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as you go about your own errands tomorrow.
What's that?
Well, we spent this time exploring how highly scripted, how fundamentally rehearsed our daily interactions are. We've seen how we use pre-programmed phrases to buy goods, protect our vulnerabilities, and avoid friction with the cashiers who ask, "Did you find everything you needed today?" Hundreds of times a shift. We assume the shared comforting routine of automatic language binds us together. It makes the city function. But consider this. Does relying on these frictionless, pre-programmed scripts actually prevent us from having truly authentic conversations with the people we share our physical world with every single day?
That's a heavy question.
When you step out your front door tomorrow and the invisible play begins, ask yourself, are you communicating or are you just delivering your lines?